Now that we know how to convert fractions, decimals, and percents to different formats, we can compare these values with each other. Let's look at an example. If they have a problem like 25%, 3/5, and 3/8, and they want to know what shows the numbers in descending order, we need to take each of these values and turn them into the same format. So, what we like to do is change all of them into a decimal format. Let's look at 25%. If we're going to change that into a decimal, all we need to remember is that 25%, we want to make it to a decimal. So the L reminds me to go to left. I replace my percent with a decimal point and I can move it 2 to the left. That gives me 0.25. Let's take 3/5 and turn that into a decimal. All I have to do is long divide because a fraction is a division problem. Box tops tells me that 3 goes inside the box. I'm going to include my decimal points and 3 zeros. 5 does not go into 3, but 5 goes into 36 times. Once I hit 0, I can stop. So 0.6 is my equivalent decimal of 3/5. And then 3/8, again, I can long divide, or eighths are numbers that you can remember. Try to memorize. 3/8 is the same as 0.375. Now that I know my equivalent decimals of each value, I'm going to compare them by lining them up in a column. So 0.25, 0.6, and 0.375 are all lined up where the decimal point is lined up, and then the tenths, the hundredths, and the thousandths places are lined up. Once I have them lined up, I do not want to compare them until I have the same number of decimal places. So this is the most decimal places. I need to include zeros, or I need to include repeating numbers if the decimal happens to be a repeating decimal. So these were terminating decimals, so I included zeros to get it all the way to the third decimal place. Once I have them now all comparing, I can just look at the values as if there is no decimal point. So I can look at this as 250, 600, and 375. And they want to know descending order. D reminds me that it's going down. So I'm going to look at my greatest value, then my second greatest value, and then finally my third, or my least value. So this 0.6 was the same as 3/5. The 0.25 was the same as 25%, and the 0.375 was the same as 3/8. So I am looking for 3/5, 3/8, and then 25%. And that option shows up in H. Let's look at another example. This one says, which list is in ascending order? So I have the values 1/4, 29%, and 0.06. We're going to turn all of them to the same format. We're going to turn them all to decimals. 1/4 is the same as 1/4, and 1/4 is worth 25 cents. 29%, I remember I want to turn it to a decimal. The L reminds me to go left 2 places. So it's going to be 29. I move my decimal point 2 places to the left, so it's 0.29. And the 0.06 I can keep as the same. Now I'm going to put them in a column where I line up my decimal and the place values. Once I do that, I find that they are all the same place values, and so I can look at this as the number 6, the number 25, and the number 29. 1, 2, and 3, because it's asking for ascending